Hi, friends. Welcome to our Tuesday afternoon Q&A at the St. Louis Arc. I'm Sharon Spurlock with the Family Support Department, and happy Music Therapy Appreciation Month. It's actually Awareness Month, but I think appreciation is really so much better than awareness. So we're going to go with Appreciation Month. We've got some wonderful guests here today to talk to us about how St. Louis Arc supports people with disabilities to really engage in music therapy, what's different about music therapy and music, and how it can really enhance individuals' personal goals and help them move forward in life. Having said all of that, I want to welcome my co-host today, Jessica Gantner, and she's going to start off our introductions. And what I like to do, Jessica, is to make sure that people know how many different ways people have kind of rolled their way through the ARC. So if you could tell us a little bit about your professional history with the ARC, but for you also, what is your music therapy background?
All right, so I am a Maryville University grad. I graduated in 2011 with a degree in music therapy, which is lovely. And I'm loving how all these things are kind of combining for me in my life. But I'm also lucky enough to be the Assistant Director of Day Services here at the ARC. And prior to that role, I had started here way back in 2009 as a DSP in our residential services, and also for a time was a music therapy intern here. So I've kind of seen several different sides of the coin, and I'm glad to be here.
Crystal's with us today. Crystal, tell us about you.
I am the current director of the music therapy program at Maryville University in St. Louis, Missouri. So in addition to being a board certified music therapist, I also have a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling with a specialization in music therapy. So I'm a certified rehabilitation counselor and also a licensed professional counselor in the state of Missouri. And then I also have a second master's degree in health administration.
And Clinton, last but not least, tell us about you.
Hi, everyone. I have been a coordinator within the leisure department of the St. Louis Arc for a little over 7 years now at this point. I've kind of overseen a wide variety of the programs that we offer, but some of those have included our music classes. So that's why I'm here today with you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. So I'm going to start with you, Crystal, because when your predecessor's predecessor approached me about doing music here at the ARC, I didn't understand really what the difference between music therapy and just great music were. Can you tell everybody a little bit about what music therapy is?
Sure. Music therapy actually began in the United States during the World War II era, so during the 1940s. And it started initially when both amateur and professional musicians would go to veterans hospitals throughout the United States and provide music for soldiers that were coming back from World War II. They found that the music was very comforting and relaxing for these individuals, and it also helped these individuals express what they were thinking and feeling as they were going through these traumatic experiences and healing from those traumatic experiences. But they found very quickly that the musicians going into these environments needed to have more extensive training, not just on music and entertainment through music, but also on anatomy, physiology, psychology, abnormal psychology, and biology, and then also in research methods. And that is how the formal discipline of music therapy began in the United States. There's now over 70 universities, both public universities and private universities throughout the United States, that an individual can get an undergraduate degree in music therapy. And music therapists can also obtain a graduate degree and also a PhD in the field as well. So at Maryville University, for example, we have an undergraduate degree that we offer our students. We also have a wonderful graduate degree program. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how music therapy started. The difference between music for entertainment and for leisure, and then music as therapy, is we're using music as a tool during music therapy sessions to help individuals achieve their goals that they have for either their health care or their education or simply their quality of life. So even though music therapy began in a medical setting in those veterans hospitals, since that time it's exploded in the United States. You'll now find music therapists working in healthcare, but also working in public schools, private schools, K through 12. You'll also see music therapists working in residential facilities for state facilities, and then also doing community music therapy, like what we've done with the St. Louis Arc with the Creative Music Making Project. Music therapy is any time that a board certified music therapist uses music as a tool to help an individual achieve their goals. So it's as simple as other therapists using their tools. When you go to see your physician, or you are working with a nurse practitioner or a nurse, in healthcare settings, we have blood pressure cuffs and thermometers and stethoscopes. There's so many tools that we use as healthcare professionals and as therapists. And that is simply what the music is. It's another tool that we utilize. So anywhere that you would find a physical therapist or an occupational therapist, speech pathologist, nurse, a physician working, you can also find a music therapist working in those settings.
Thank you. That was a great explanation. And you told us earlier that if we wanted to use a good website for music therapy, it's musictherapy.org is the national clearinghouse.
So if you just go to www.musictherapy.org, it's a really simple website to remember. That will take you to the American Music Therapy Association's official website. And that will tell you much more information than we're able to focus on today and everything. I know that our focus today is the St. Louis Arc and creative music making, but this gives your listeners an opportunity to get to read about everything that's going on in the music therapy community throughout the United States. In addition, there is also a World Federation of Music Therapy. So music therapy does not just occur here in the United States, but there are several countries throughout the world that have music therapy degrees and music therapy programs.
Jessica, you have been around from the beginning. You actually created the logo for our creative music making shirts. So tell us a little bit about what is that? What can people expect if they come in as a participant for the whole event of creative music making? And then Clinton, maybe I'll have you talk about what people can expect as an audience member.
So creative music making has been this annual opportunity for 13 years. At this point, that supports individuals who attend services at the St. Louis Arc, so adults with disabilities of quite a wide variety. It supports them in connecting with music therapists, licensed or board certified rather, and students of music therapy, right? And also St. Louis Symphony Orchestra musicians. So we're bringing all these different types of musicians, including those people with disabilities, together to experience something as one unit. My background is in orchestral music. That is what I grew up doing. That is what I went to college for. And there's nothing more powerful than being on stage and having the music being created around you. It's most certainly valuable to be an audience member, but when you're in it and it's surrounding you and kind of enveloping you, it gives you a whole different experience. So we want to make sure that we're offering that to the folks we support. But the program includes 2 days of practice and fun where we get to know each other. We write songs, we come up with instrumental parts of those songs and lyrics to new things. We learn a lot of new songs and familiar pop songs or country songs or whatever to share with each other. Usually there's a talent portion of our practices where everybody shows off their musical abilities. And then on that third day, we go to either Maryville University's auditorium or the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra's Powell Hall and perform for our friends and family and community members.
So Clinton, what was that performance like this year?
I've been able to attend several of the performances, and they are always extremely exciting and very engaging for you as an audience member. Not only do you get to kind of see the culmination of what, the ARC participants, those Maryville students and the symphony musicians have kind of put together for us on stage, but they also do a really great job of incorporating the audience into their performances, and giving us the opportunity to kind of participate along with them during portions of it as well.
Yeah, I think for me this year, I've been to, I think, all of them. And it was really very exciting for me to see how big the crowd was this year. We were very lucky that we got some marketing support to get some of our young families out from the special school district. And it was so great to see all kinds of people in the audience, all ages, all demographics, and they were all loving the show. And it was really, I think that makes a big difference when you are on that stage, to be able to look out and see an enthusiastic audience. So that was really cool from my perspective. Crystal, it was your first time. What did you expect? Did it surprise you in any way?
I had a wonderful experience. It was the first time as the director of the music therapy program at Maryville University, but being a music therapist in St. Louis for over 20 years, I'd been able to attend the final performances and get to see those, but I was always on the outside looking in. And so what was most exciting for me was not just that performance, but the 2 days leading up to it. That was the first time I got to be a part of the practices, of the rehearsals, of those group music therapy sessions. And that was the piece that was just invigorating and phenomenal. And having students that are leading those groups, we focus on our clientele and the individuals from ARC, but a lot of the students, it was the first time that they'd ever had the opportunity to really get to lead a group and to be a group participant as a clinician. And so I also was looking at it from that lens as well, that I had that prideful moment. You can't help but have the proud mother, moment where you're looking at your students and just being so excited with what they're getting to demonstrate and taking what they learned in the classroom and then putting that into a real life clinical experience. So I love watching the performance at Powell Hall, but for me, the thrill is getting to see those 2 long, energizing days leading up to that. Was just an absolute thrill.
I think about my ancient school experience and how little hands-on practical experience I had, and how great it must be for them to be able to have such an intense opportunity to apply their craft and see how things work with different populations and really have some fun while they're doing it. So I will tell you, I think it was the best outcomes we've had in the entire 13 years, especially with drawing out individual talents of people. It really was nice to see that. We have a question from the audience, which I've buried and it doesn't want to come up now, but it was really about if you ever discuss feelings through music therapy class, and how might it be different for a children's class than an adult class?
As music therapists, we can work in lots of different environments and lots of different settings. So we can do group music therapy settings like we did for creative music therapy, but we also can do individual one-on-one sessions. And so it can look different depending on your age range, depending on where we're seeing an individual, and depending on that dynamic. Sometimes many group music therapy sessions with adults tackle some of the same topics that you would with traditional support groups. And I will tell you, though, that really, other than the difference of maybe musical style and genre and decade of you perform, with adults, you might do more from the 1960s and 1970s and 80s now than newer music. But really, there's no difference by way of what music can draw out of individuals. Having that pure emotion and being able to hear a song or play a song and create something that is unique is an amazing way of individuals who may have never had an opportunity to articulate what they're thinking and what they're feeling and what they're experiencing, and to be able to put that into a medium that is safe, that is genuine, that is productive, and to have that validation from other individuals that they hear you, that they understand what you're going through. So, to answer that question, is it different by way of emotional expression? I think there's more similarities with across any age range than we think, because emotion has that way of tapping into everyone's processes of how they express themselves. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and she is just as expressive through music as when I was in the field and working with somebody that was 106 years old. That was the oldest patient I've ever had. And so I think it's something that music really can touch us at every single point of our life and help us connect with our emotions in a safe, appropriate, manner that is productive and that helps us improve our quality of life.
Music really is such a universal language. And I think for me, I think about the different kinds of goals and successes and the moments that we see people have, not just in creative music making, but also when we're having music therapy throughout the year with them. And I think that a lot of the people we work with have so many communication challenges. That's a great opportunity for music to come in and help build that bridge for them. There was one young man who was in the creative music making this last time, and I've heard him speak and I've known him for a number of years, but he's always very, very soft spoken. I usually can't hear what he's saying. And you guys gave him a mic and he sang a couple of solo lines and I was blown away. And it was so exciting for me. And I'm wondering, Jessica and Clinton, for the people that you know outside of the music therapy space, when you see them in music, what are some of the outcomes you see for them as far as communication, self-confidence, or other kinds of things, expressing emotions maybe that they've been able to do through the use of music therapy?
So I think for me, the most important thing that I've noticed, especially in my day program world now, is that for some adults, there can be a fear of trying, a fear of doing a new thing or learning a new thing, or it's hard, or I'm not sure. And music can really kind of create that structure to learn in that feels fun and good. And you might get a little more participation that way if we're trying to encourage something, especially my work with the elderly, right? They may have a physical accident where they've broken a bone and they've gone through, whatever they needed medically to get that done, but they're still nervous to try and exercise, right? Well, why don't we put on some preferred music and try some light movement to encourage that walking or that arm movement or that whatever. So it kind of allows people to continue to learn without the fear of kind of going off the deep end.
Yeah, definitely. I think that music also kind of opens a space to kind of encourage that socialization amongst others and kind of engaging, with your peers or the folks around you. A lot of kind of the folks that we support, might not always, want to have a conversation with the person that's sitting next to them, but, getting into that music class, once the music starts playing and they start singing, you just kind of see them open up, and really kind of show that different side of them that, we all know is in there. It just kind of takes that music to help it come out.
Yeah, I love that too. So great. So I'd love it if Clinton, you could talk a little bit more about ongoing opportunities for music, and you too, Jessica, whatever we've got going on. I might even know, I don't know if you guys know, we have a brand new parent and child session happening with our PLT families right now, which is really exciting. And we used to offer a Mommy and Me class for very small children, and then also toddler classes. And I'd love to see us go back to having some of those again. We've also added music therapy to our list of resources in our embedded programs, which we provide in, I want to say 16 Normandy schools. That might be a little high, but a lot of the early childhood centers in the Normandy footprint.
Yeah, definitely. So within the leisure department, we have a couple different music therapy related classes that we offer. The first of those is our ukulele club. We offered that to folks who are 16 and older, and we generally offer 2 8-week sessions throughout the year. So one in the fall and one in the winter. But in the ukulele club, we have a wonderful partnership with music therapists from Music Therapy St. Louis that come and lead our classes within the leisure department. But a board certified music therapist from them come in and help folks learn how to play the ukulele. It generally is just kind of, giving them kind of the basic knowledge about the instrument itself, and then learning a few basic chords throughout the 8 weeks. And then kind of comes into a culmination at the last class of the session where we generally invite the parents or staff, whoever that might be, that they want to come and see them, where those participants can kind of show off and play the songs that they've been working on during that session. If you don't have your own ukulele but might be interested in learning or participating, we have you covered. We do have ukuleles that are available for folks to use during the class if you didn't have your own instrument. But if you have your own, you're welcome to bring that along too. Outside of the ukulele club, we also offer our adult music classes. So those are for folks who are 18 and older. We do offer a 10-week session kind of in every seasonal brochure that we send out. So a fall session, a winter session, and then a spring summer session. That class is also led by a music therapist from Music Therapy St. Louis. And the activities and things that they do week to week vary. The therapist generally has kind of a theme for their lesson plan that they have set up for each week, whether that be centered around like a holiday, the season, maybe what the weather outside has been like. I know they like to do something around when like baseball season starts for the St. Louis Cardinals, but they incorporate a variety of different kind of activities or interventions, as you might call them, whether that be using instruments during the class, having sing-alongs, maybe doing some collaborative songwriting, incorporating some movement in there. But they're definitely a very, very fun time each week. And, it's always something a little bit new and a little bit different. So, it keeps it exciting. I will say that the classes, we would love to have everybody who's interested, but we can only accommodate so many. So spots are limited. So if it is something that, you're interested in signing up for, please feel free to, reach out to us and we can help get you connected and more information on how to go about registering for that class.
So in addition to all of the lovely things that the ARC does with the leisure program and the music therapists that they use, ARC Day Services also partner with Music Therapy St. Louis to offer weekly sessions to the folks that attend our day programs, including our Aging with Empowerment program, which is for elderly adults with disabilities, our CE programs, and our LIFT program, because we know it's a valuable intervention and a nice way to keep our bodies and minds and social skills and everything else very, very sharp. So Crystal, we talked a lot about accessing services for adults, but I know there's probably some young families watching us. Is there any resources you might be aware of, or any ways to advocate for access to music therapy? I know St. Louis County schools do a wonderful job of offering that access, but how might a parent start down that path?
Yeah, doing that. If your child does have an IEP, an individual education plan, music therapy can be a piece of that, not just in St. Louis County, but also St. Charles County. If anyone is listening and is out in St. Charles County as well, and then also over in the Illinois side. So really it is about letting your individuals that are already involved in your child's IEP know that this is something that you are interested in and pursuing, and seeing if that is available through the school district, and then having them do an assessment and seeing if that can be a part of your child's IEP plan. In addition to that, some individuals choose to go to a private practice to seek music therapy services, so outside of the school district. So as you guys mentioned, Music Therapy STL is an amazing private practice that, you know, does some great things with St. Louis Arc, but, you know, it has clientele outside of that as well. And that's a great place to get individual music therapy sessions. And then if individuals are interested in the educational process of how to become a music therapist, they can always go to www.maryville.edu, and you can read more about our undergraduate and graduate music therapy programs. If you are contemplating becoming a music therapist yourself, you can read more about the educational process on how to do that.
Thank you, Clinton, for joining us and saying such wonderful things about the programs that folks are able to access and use music as a tool to learn or express themselves. And Crystal, thank you for being here as well to kind of help drop some education on us about how music therapy started and what it can be used for. And happy Music Therapy Awareness Month.